Hey, bro, on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
Yo, it is time again for I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. I'm your host, Scott. It is September 22nd, 2022. We got a lot of stuff to get into, man. You know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Barbchair Scott. Follow HB Media, HB Media TV on Twitter. Follow HB Media, HB Media on Instagram. Follow the Barbershop Network at Barbershop Net on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barbers Chair Network, man. Of course, visit the bcnet.com. Got a lot of good stuff on there, man. We've got a lot to talk about today. I've got a jam-packed show for y'all. We're gonna get into a little bit. Of course, we talk about NFL every week. We're gonna recap week 2. We're gonna preview week 3. Talk about, my power rankings, games to look forward to. We got a little NBA conversation getting to. Obviously, the big Ime Udoka story that broke late last night. We've got some other NBA nuggets we'll get into too. I mean, training camp and media day are next week, so we about to get into the swing of things with this full-on NBA coverage, man. But before we get to that, I want to start off with my sound off. Basically some baseball talk of what I want to do today. I want to give a rest in peace to the 2022 Chicago White Sox. This has been the season from hell. This has been as my time as a White Sox fan, considering the expectations. Now, I've seen a lot of bad baseball teams. This is not the first time I've seen a bad baseball team in my over 25 years as being a White Sox fan. This is not, but considering the the situation, this is the worst White Sox team I've ever seen in my life. You come off a season last year where you win 93 games, win a division, first time you win a division in over 13 years. You get in the first round of playoffs, you get absolutely shellacked by the Houston Astros, who would eventually win the AL and go on to the World Series. You come in the regular season and you do nothing to prove your team. You sign a guy in Josh Harrison who's on his last leg as a second baseman. You don't go out there and get you a legit first baseman. You got like 3 fucking first basemen playing in fucking right field. You get AJ Pollock, but you want to play right field when that's not really his full-time position. You go spend money on relievers when that's not your problem either. And then we come out and see this season, these relievers wasn't that fucking good to begin with. You spend all your money on a Joe Kelly who was injured to start the season and was injured multiple times during the season. And this team started off little pretty well. And of course, it was the first 8 games. They started off 6-2, then went on a 8-game losing streak, and there was really nothing was the same after that. They just got worse and worse. Of course, there was injuries, but every team has injuries. I think the problem with this team, what we saw this season, was they didn't take anybody in division seriously. They didn't take anybody. The Guardians, the Twins, the Tigers, and really anybody seriously. And thought they were just gonna come in here, mimosy, and do what they usually do, and did what they did last year and win the division, just be right there in the World Series conversation. And that's not what happened. And I think you gotta look as a deeper look into this, man. First of all, this fan base doesn't deserve this. It's a very loyal fan base. They watch every game. They even went all the way down to the wire watching these last 2 games against Cleveland. Now, I didn't because I live in a little world called reality. And I stopped watching these motherfuckers 2 fucking months ago outside of the one game that I attended. By the way, those tickets were for free. Jerry Reinsdorf has not gotten a ticket money out of me all fucking season. But this is a problem. And this has been organizational problem for the White Sox for a long time. The highest contract they've ever spent money on was Yasmani Grandal for 4 years, $75 million. This is almost damn near 2023, where everybody is getting triple digits. Of the 120s, the 200s variations, and you gave this motherfucker $75 million, and that's the biggest deal in White Sox history. You don't go out there and get you a starting pitcher to really bolster your rotation. You go out there, you let Dallas Keuchel waste a month and a half to 2 months, and then you go out here and you go sign Johnny Cueto. Now Johnny Cueto has been awesome this year, but it's the process over results for me. It's the process. You think you can just go bargain shopping and everything's gonna work out. I mean, even look at the last month and a half, 2 months that we've had Elvis Andrews. Good pickup, and he really helped, get this team back in the race. But if you'd assigned you a fucking regular second baseman to fucking begin with, you wouldn't have been in this problem. You're going bargain shopping and hoping that it works out. You wasted 2 seasons bringing in Tony La Russa. There's no coincidence that this team started playing better when Tony La Russa started having his heart issues. And no matter how I feel about Tony La Russa as a person and a manager, I think he's an over the hill manager, and I think he's a shit person. You don't want nobody to be having heart issues, so I hope he gets better. But on the managerial side, it's no coincidence they start playing better because he's old. He's past his prime. And you got a guy, Miguel Cairo, who was able to get this team reinvigorated. You wasted 2 seasons by signing him as your manager to begin with because your fucking owner can't let over the fact that he let this dude go over 40 fucking years ago. That's problem number one of the multiple problems. You got a guy in Rick Hahn who is pretty much, I don't even know what the words to describe him. I won't call him a bad GM, but he's a GM who doesn't really do shit. The results don't match up to the shit he was talking. Remember the see you at the parade bullshit he told us at Sox Fest like a year or two ago. You know what I'm saying? Like going out here and offering Manny Machado the extra money and incentives. Like this is a multi-time all-star. He's proven to you he's a gold glover. He's proven to you what kind of player he is. You disrespect him by saying we'll give you the extra $25 incentives. And when he turns it down, you go over and give it to his bum ass family members who got cut from the team before the fucking season was over. You don't even look into the Bryce Harper sweepstakes. You don't look into getting one of these high price second baseman like a Marcus Semien, who you had in your system to fucking begin with, by the way, or a Corey Seager, or some guys like that. Getting into the actual trade market. You go out here and get Jake Diekman. Jake fucking Diekman, who had an ERA of 4 and had a problem walking niggas, and we saw what the problem was this week. He did the same fucking shit. Everybody said, "Oh, it's early," and I said that too early too. I didn't think they were going to be this bad. I did think they'll be able to bounce back and get into the playoffs. But there was no part of me that thought they was going to win the World Series after like a month because of just how they played. you know. And I'm not taking the players, I'm holding the players accountable too. At the end of the day, the number one problem with this team, despite how the roster was put together, despite how the bullpen underachieved, despite how we really only had 2 reliable arms all fucking season. Lucas Giolito, if you think you're getting a big contract, you're out of your fucking mind. Michael Kopech has been in and out of the lineup because he's injured, and because you've been having him in fucking saran wrap the last 2 years and not allowing him to actually go through the growing pains that every young pitcher needs to go to. Lance Lynn was straight up ass into the last 3 weeks of the season. I'm looking at you, how bad you were. The only good thing you can really sit up here and say about the rotation was Johnny Cueto was a good bargain pickup, and Dylan Cease finally became the guy that we expect him to be, which is a Cy Young candidate and an ace in the rotation. He finally got to that point. That's it. The bullpen underachieved. Liam Hendricks was hot and cold, who you spent a lot of money on. But all of that, the main problem with this team is they couldn't fucking score runs. And this isn't a problem that just happened this year. Last year was a problem. They couldn't score runners in scoring position. They had terrible situation in basketball. I mean, the one game the White Sox won in the playoffs last year was a game they had to come back from down 5 runs. You see the problem with this? This team needs a whole organizational restructure. Now, we all know this team isn't going to be sold. Jerry Reinsdorf is going to be the owner of this team until the day he dies. Tony La Russa is not coming back. I think we can pretty much all expect that we're going to get a press release in about 2.5 weeks when the season is officially over, that they're going to move him to like a consulting role or something like that. Now, here's a chance for you to actually go get you an actual fucking manager. You need to go fire the scouting staff. The White Sox have the worst, if not the worst, one of the worst farm systems in baseball. Look at all the elite teams. More specifically, the Atlanta Braves, who are the defending World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Houston Astros. You know why they're in the chase every year? I don't even put the Mets in this. You know why they're in the chase every year? Because they spend money on quality free agents and they keep drafting great players and keeping that farm system up, especially the Dodgers. The Dodgers can give Mookie Betts $400 million. They can give, Freddie Freeman $250-300 million because they keep drafting well. They have people fill up the park because they're putting together a winning team. And we can sit up here and talk about their postseason success, but we all know the MLB postseason is a crapshoot. But they doing what they can to put themselves in position to win. The White Sox do nothing of that. So they need to get rid of the scouting staff. Use some real scouting people. I mean, when they were talking about, we had to reevaluate the way we look at our training staff. You need to reevaluate again, motherfucker, because I don't know about y'all. Them injuries weren't any less than they were last year. It was just as bad. You need to fix that. Go out there, get you a real manager. Get you a guy who relates to the players, who actually knows the rules to the modern game of baseball, who actually know when to use the analytics, who knows when to not fucking walk niggas in the middle of a count. You know what I'm saying? Or bunting people over like it's 1998. You get you a real manager. But the players need to do better. At the end of the day, if your core ain't shit, it don't matter. Tim Anderson, I'm looking at you, dog. You got to do better. He's the only athlete in history who got caught cheating and played worse. Jose Abreu, I love Jose Abreu. You had a great year. He's been the captain of this team since he got here. I wish we had more playoff appearances for him. Salute to Pito. That being said, I wouldn't pay him again. You drafted and developed Andrew Vaughn to be your first baseman in the future. It's time for him to start right now. Now you could say you could put Abreu at DH. That's fine, but when you got a guy Eloy Jimenez, who, as we've seen the last 6 weeks, when he's actually healthy, he can hit the fucking ball. That's a guy who needs to be a full-time DH because he can't fucking guard. He can't play left field. He always getting injured. So it's gonna have to be addition by subtraction. Let Pito go to a contender, man. Let him do what he's got to do and put him there. You need to go get you quality outfielders who can actually outfield. And also learn how to manage injuries better. There's no reason that it took, fucking Michael Kopech's knee almost falling off for you to realize, oh, maybe we should put him on IL. We've got Luis Robert out there who looks god awful right now because he can't move his wrist. And why the White Sox just don't put him on the IL, I have no idea. You need to go get you some left-handed bats. Get you a real right fielder. Get you a real left fielder. Get you more starting pitchers because right now you've only got one reliable starting pitcher if you want to be real about it. So they've got to go out there and do a whole bunch of things, and they cannot run this thing back. And in the perfect world, Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams will both be fired, but we all know Kenny Williams has 1 foot out the door. He's going to retire at the end of next year any damn way. And if you're a Jerry Reinsdorf guy in any capacity, you're going to keep your job. Rick Hahn's going to keep his job, and John Paxson kept his job for 20-something years. So we all know that he's not going anywhere. So I need Rick Hahn to do his job because the fan base is on the brink right now. This is supposed to be our window of winning championships and having this rebuild that we've seen other organizations do. And this just completely failed, man. I could rant on this all fucking day because it honestly pisses me off. It was a disgusting season. But we'll get more in depth with it next week. We'll do like a recap of the season of He Gone. So check that out sometime next week. But the MLB playoffs are on the way. We're about a couple weeks when we can finally get into that, man. So that's what I got for my about 10-minute sound off. I apologize if that was too long. Let's get into some football, man. Let's talk about Justin Fields, my quarterback, Justin Fields, man. Justin Fields having a rocky start to the season. Week 1 in the pouring monsoon of Soldier Field. Had 2 touchdowns. He wasn't bad. He wasn't great. I thought he had a much better second half. Obviously, the first half was god awful. And we all know his performance he put up against Green Bay, which I feel like it was a mix of terrible play calling, but also Justin didn't look good. His pocket awareness needs to get better. He needs to know when to throw. He needs to know when to run. There's be a lot of confusing things from him. But the play is not what's concerning to me. He'll get over that. He's a rookie quarterback. You got to go through your ups and downs. He made a comment on Sunday, and I was at the game. I was in the Lambeau Field press room, which is like the size of this room I'm in right now. So are their locker rooms. And he said a comment about, they asked him, like, how do you feel about the fans? How they feel about you guys continuously losing to the Packers? And he basically said, I don't care about what the fans think. I'm paraphrasing. He decided I don't care what the fans think. Word for word, he said, the fans don't play the game. We play the game. We care about it more than they do. And I remember being in that room when he said it, and I was like, I understand what he's saying. I agree with what he's saying. But I knew that it was going to be a shitstorm. I was like, well, this is not exactly what people are going to want to hear from their franchise quarterback who is struggling and just happens to be black. And I called that out on the 79th and Hallis page the next day. I said, just the coverage. This is a fan base that has given every mediocre quarterback, and which is really all the Chicago Bears have known in their existence is mediocre quarterback. I mean, the best quarterback in the history of the Bears is Jay Cutler, and that tells you everything you need to fucking know about this organization. That we're seeing the difference between the coverage when a black quarterback struggles compared to when a white quarterback struggles. It was week 6. It was year 6 of Jay Cutler. People saying, well, Jay can just get it together. They gave Mr. Trubisky every chance on planet Earth. People still talk about Cade McNown. People still talk about motherfucking Josh McCown. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to trade training camp this year. I saw a lot of Mr. Trubisky jerseys for whatever reason. I've never seen a quarterback as terrible as him have stands, like legitimate stands. They gave him every chance in the world, but you got a guy in Justin Fields who was in just his 13th played game in NFL period in his 12th start, and you already ready to get rid of. You know what I'm saying? So I was at the press conference yesterday. There's a lot of beating at Hallis Hall, by the way. I was in the press conference yesterday, and he clarified his statement, saying that he's not saying he doesn't care about what the fans think. He's not saying that, the fans don't, put in their hard-earned money to watch them. But he was just saying we're the ones out there putting the work. We're the ones out here putting, and getting hit and running around in these games. We're the ones who, obviously hurts us more. And I say this, Justin, you didn't either. And then also he said Barstool. He's like Barstool blew it up, and that's what Barstool does. We all know how we all feel about Barstool. Barstool is the leader of racist sports media. I mean, we don't even say that it's led by a piece of shit to fucking begin with. Everybody over there are suckers. So we already know how they get down to even pump some shit up like this. But the thing to me is he doesn't need to apologize. And I know it's PR. I know the great PR team with the Bulls wanted him. I mean, the Bears wanted him to get that out. I understand. But these fan bases, really fans in general, but I'm specifically speaking to Bears fans because I know Bears fans. I am a Bears fan. Y'all got to stop being entitled. Yes, fans spend money to go see the games. Yes, we don't like when our teams lose. Shit, I was upset watching the Bears get their ass beat by the Packers for their 100th fucking time on Sunday. Nobody likes that. But you think I'm going to have the balls to say that I care more about it than Justin Fields or Eddie Jackson or David Montgomery, who actually out here doing the work, playing these guys? You niggas ain't out here getting chased around by Aaron Donald for an hour. I don't give a fuck what you want to do. It's fan entitlement that comes from these guys, specifically white fans, that we see a lot of this coming from a black quarterback perspective. Now, look, like I said, Justin might end up being terrible. We don't fucking know. Nobody has a crystal ball to see what Justin Fields is going to turn out with. I think it's a 50-50 chance. And with any quarterback who comes in the league, we see more quarterbacks ruined then we see quarterbacks be great in the National Football League. We understand that situations are everything, and Justin Fields necessarily isn't in the best situation right now. He's coming in his second regime, his second offense to learn, with pretty much no offensive weapons to deal with, a very shoddy offensive line. I understand it's a very hard thing for him to get over, and we really won't know what kind of quarterback he is till later. So he's got to play better too. But my thing is, let the kid play. Let him get better. And if he's ass, he's ass. But there's no point in tearing the boy down 12 starts in. Let him play. By the end of the season, I'm not saying we should know for sure what he is, but by the end of the season, you should have somewhat of an idea if he's good or if he's bad. Let it play out. There's 15 more games, man. And he doesn't need to respond to entitled ass pricks who think just because they play money to come to these games that they're out here on the fucking field. And that's all I got to say about that, man. If it sounds like I was fired up about that, it's because I am. It's because the 79th Hallis mentions. Now, there's been a lot of great supporters. We appreciate everybody who listens to our podcast, every last one of y'all. We love y'all. But there's been a lot of Bass Pro Shop hat wearing motherfuckers in our mentions with the racist shit that I've been seeing. It's been a lot of it. I've had to mute more tweets on that account this week than I ever had. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sick and fucking tired of it. But let's get into our week 2 recap, man. I'm gonna get over my top 5 headlines coming into week 3 and what we saw in week 2. My fifth, one of my headlines to start this off is Jalen Hurts, man. Jalen Hurts is looking good. 2 games in, he had a great game on Monday Night Football. They just really took the Minnesota Vikings to the shed. The Vikings last week looked amazing. Basically sending the Packers to hell. Kirk Cousins looked good, but like I said on the show last week, this is why Kirk Cousins is the worst kind of quarterback, because he can go out there last week look like a fucking Hall of Famer, and then this week look like he don't know how to read any type of defenses, and it happens to him all the time. They were looking great, and now this week they just did look god awful. They went out there and they destroyed it with 24-7. Jalen Hurts 26-31, a touchdown, throwing and touchdown running. Only threw 1 pick. He got sacked 3 times, but it was a great fucking performance. 333 yards in the air. Rushing wise, he had 57 yards on 11 carries. And of course, my correction, 2 rushing touchdowns. So 3 touchdowns in general for Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is a perfect example of what I was just talking about with Justin Fields. This is a guy last year who Philadelphia fans, by the way, who were the worst fan base in all the sports. This is a fan base who cheered Michael Irvin when his career ended at that old Eagle Stadium back in the day. They were calling him everything but a child of God. It was everything. And they were ready to get rid of him. And now look how it is. Look how it is when you get a coach that builds to your strengths. When you're investing in the offensive line, when you're investing in getting wide receivers, it looks better, right? So situations matter. Now he's looking like he's at least a competent quarterback. The confidence is there. Now he's still young. This is only his second year as a starter, only his third year in the league. He's gonna have ups and downs. There's gonna be some games this year. We look at Jalen Hurts like, bro, what the fuck? What was you looking at? So, but he's an example of progress. It happens over time. And Philadelphia fans ready to get rid of him last year. Now look at him, man. And I just feel like with everything going on in NFC East, with the Cowboys having a bad offseason, on top of that, losing their franchise quarterback, Jerry Jones said this for 4 weeks. But anybody with eyes can see that that's probably going to be 6 to 8 weeks at the absolute minimum. I don't know why they just don't put him on the IR. I understand Cooper Rush had a good backup game last week, and he did what backups supposed to do, but long term is not going to help out. They have an opportunity if Jalen keeps playing well for them to not only run away with this division, but to become a legitimate NFC contender to make to the Super Bowl, man. So I got to give some love to Jalen Hurts with my number 5 storyline of this coming out of week 2. My number 4 storyline coming out of week 2 is the Bengals. Fucking Cincinnati Bengals under surveillance, man. They're under surveillance. Lost a very close game to the Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Rush was looking crazy on them. Lost by a field goal. This is the second straight game they've lost by a field goal. The offensive line doesn't look like it got any better than last year. Joe Burrow's out there getting pummeled, and they just look out of sync. And this is a team that I was very high on coming to the season, because I'm very high on Joe Burrow. And I was like, okay, this is a team that can go out there and win 13 games. They're 0-2 to start this season. They got a must-win game coming up this week against the Titans. Things are looking bleak for them. I'm not ready to give up on them yet, because Baltimore did lose a very close game to Miami, and they're only a game out of the first place, and there's 15 more games left. And you do think that eventually this team that's good will get it together, but they have to get it together. No team since 2020 in the last 3 years has made the playoffs after being 0-2. So that's something we got to look at right there with the Bengals. Like, are they going to get better? And that offensive line has to get better. I understand that Joe Burrow was able to play through it last year and coming off the injury, but you don't want to keep putting your quarterback in harm's way, because you're eventually going to break him. And this is a situation right here with the Bengals. They got to show people that we're a legitimate team. We're not this team that just got hot the last 6 weeks of the season last year and just rolled that into the Super Bowl. We're a legitimate squad. So the lights are on them, and we got to see what they're going to do this week, man. If they go out here and they lose to the Titans, it might be a wrap for them, man. My number 3 storyline coming from week 2 is the crazy finish that we had in Vegas this week between the Cardinals and the Raiders. This is a game right here that the Raiders was running away with. The Raiders had a double-digit lead. They had a great sports week in Vegas. Shout out to the Las Vegas Aces for winning the WNBA championship. Shout out to Aja Wilson, everybody over there. They had a great game. It was a home open. The crowd was going crazy. And then, even people was popping bottles of Ace of Spade in the end zone, as we saw, which is peak Vegas shit. And then they let these motherfuckers come back. Kyler Murray, who I'm still not high on, but Kyler Murray put together a great performance on the road and just started really just put the game into his own hands. If we look at the stats that we got up right here, passing wise, he was 31 for 49, had a touchdown and interception, and also ran for 28 yards and had another touchdown. That big 4th and 5 at the end of that game. And just the Raiders were just doing shit that the Raiders always do. And that's just struggling at the end of the game. So you go into overtime and they fumble the ball, and if I'm not mistaken, I think who fumbled the ball was Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow got to stop putting the fucking ball on the ground, man. He got to get his shit together. And that led to a touchdown and game over for the Arizona Cardinals. And by the way, the guy who scored the touchdown, wait till you get past the plane of the end zone before you start celebrating, man. You couldn't wait 1 nanosecond, later. because that could have been reviewed and they could have said no, ball was out of bounds before he scored. So you got to be smart on that. While I am not sold on the Cardinals, and I'm expecting way more from the Raiders. They got to do more. I understand that Derek Carr had a much better game than he did against the Rams, but look at this, man. You went out here and you paid all this money and traded capital to get Devontae Adams, and you only targeted him like 7 times. 2 catches, 12 yards, much different than last week. You got to get him involved. You got to get Darren Waller more involved. You got to just spread the offense around in general, and the defense has got to be better. There's no reason you should let this game slip. Multiple opportunities for you, and you just completely fucking jagged it. That's another team. They're 0-2 now, and they're in a division that they can't afford to be 0-2. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs who are 0-2, right? I mean, who are 2-0 right now, and they can run away with this thing. The Chargers, I think the one thing that the Raiders can look at is, we might be all right, is the Chargers. We don't know what's going to happen with Justin Herbert. Is he going to play this week after cracking his ribs last week against the Chiefs? But they need to get together. They need to get together exactly the same way the Bengals got to get together, or this is going to be a team that's going to miss the playoffs, man. So that's my number 3 observation. Number 2, man. Number 2 is the unfortunate situation that happened in San Francisco this past week with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. Trey Lance out there broke his ankle, and he will have season ending surgery this week, which will put him out for the season. And y'all know I'm not the biggest Trey Lance fan. I'm not a fan of project quarterbacks, but I really hope he gets better. I feel bad for the guy because out of every quarterback in his class, with him, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, he has the least playing experience out of all of them. Going back from college and only starting 2 games last year. This is only his 4th game starter as a starter, and now he's gonna miss all this season. And now he's got to start from scratch from year 1 next year. And we don't even know. We might have seen the last of Trey Lance in the San Francisco 49ers uniform, because if Jimmy Garoppolo goes out there and balls out, and by the way, the offense just looked like they had a different pep in their step on Sunday, as Jimmy Garoppolo came in with 13 for 21, 154 yards and scored a touchdown. It's like the team had more confidence in him, and they know Jimmy's a guy who led them to the Super Bowl. Jimmy's the guy who led them to the NFC Championship game last year. They know what kind of guy he is. We can say whatever you want about Jimmy, but he's a winner. He knows what it takes to get it done. And if Jimmy Garoppolo goes out there and has a career year or has another deep playoff run, then you got a situation of your John Lynch, because then Jimmy's a free agent. Do you pay him and we're just going to trade Trey Lance and get picks? And Jimmy Garoppolo's not old. He's still young. You can still keep him long term. Or are you going to say, thanks for what you did? We're still going to, put the farm on Trey Lance despite his injury. And now his progression's even slowed down even more when you've got a veteran ready roster that's ready to win a Super Bowl. This is a very dicey situation for the San Francisco 49ers moving forward. And it's something I definitely am interested to see, because I think the Niners are officially a contender again. My biggest thing with the Niners was I didn't have faith in Trey Lance. Now you got Jimmy Garoppolo. This team has a chance to make another run in the NFC. So that's my number 3. Actually, my number 2 observation from week 2. And now here's my number 1 observation coming into week 2. Tua Tagovailoa, as my man Rose says, had an incredible game. 36 of 50, 469 yards. Yes, you count them. 6 touchdowns from Tua. He spread the ball pretty evenly, man. They had a great running game. Between Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds did their thing, but the receiving core, man, Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 11 receptions, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he just completely sped the ball around. And it was just an incredible offense performance by Tua. I went back and I watched the film, and I felt like John Wall, we talking to Bradley Beal. I ain't never, ever seen you act like this before. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say this is the Tua that's going to happen. Mr. Trubisky threw 6 touchdowns in the game before. But this is a game that makes you think that, there might be something here. And you got to give up to Mike McDaniels, who put a great offensive game plan together on Sunday. The defense did their job of getting the ball back when Lamar was cooking their ass. Lamar had another great game. Lamar Jackson had 318 yards passing on 21 39, 3 touchdowns in the air. He ran for another 119 with 9 carries, another touchdown. So Lamar had another great game and another pay me moment. But they took their foot off the gas, and that's exactly where the Dolphins came in and took advantage. Now the Dolphins got a huge game this week against the juggernaut Buffalo Bills, which we'll get into later on in this show. But Tua showed me something. See, can do this. All the Miami Dolphins back. They've been looking for a quarterback since Dan Marino retired. Is he the guy? If you're a Dolphins fan, you got to at least be excited about the progress that you saw from Tua, because he looked like he couldn't throw anything the week before. So those are my top 5 headlines coming into week 2. Coming into week 3, recapping week 2. And now we're gonna do my week 2 power rankings before we get into our week 3 preview that I have, man. Now I just want to be very clear with these power rankings. These are week by week. These are not like season power rankings. So if anybody wonders why certain teams are on there, this is week by week strictly thing. A couple teams did not make the list this week. So we're going to see how this is. We're going to start with number 10. My number 10 team is the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers, the two Aarons had a great game against Chicago Bears on Sunday. Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones did pretty well, especially Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones looked like the second coming of Barry Sanders with all those damn missed tackles by the Bears. And they came out here and they did what they needed to do, beat the Bears and get back in the win column. They got a big game on the road against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I will say this about the Packers. I got them low at 10 because I just don't think this is a good team. I just really don't. This is the thing that was most frustrating about Sunday as a Bears fan, is this is the first Packer loss that we've had, well, that they've had. I got to stop saying we. Member of the media now. But they had, where I didn't look at like, oh, well, the Packers just beat us. No, the Bears beat themselves on Sunday. This is not a good Packer team. They don't have a receiving core. The defense is not as good as people think it is. The running game is probably the bright spot. And Aaron Rodgers is going to have more problems with these wide receivers. I don't think they're a legit Super Bowl contender, but they're enough to stay in my top 10. At number 9, we're going to go with a team who was not on this list last week, but they're there now. The San Francisco 49ers went out there, blew out the Seattle Seahawks, took advantage, did what they needed to do. Jimmy Garoppolo had a great game. And now, like I said a couple moments ago, I think they're legit contender now, man. They got a big Sunday night football game in Denver that I can't wait to see. That's going to be big for them. And I think we got to start watching for the Niners, man. They're starting to creep up, and I think they can make this NFC West competition even better. Everybody thought that the Rams was going to run over with this one. They're going to be in this back to the end like it was last year, and this is going to be fun to watch. Number 8, Los Angeles Chargers. Very tough loss on Thursday Night Football last week. That interception by Justin Herbert pretty much sealed their fate. But the reason I have them low isn't because of the loss. The loss doesn't really concern me. It's the health of Justin Herbert that concerns me. Now, we don't know if he's playing this Sunday. We don't know what his future's going forward, but cracked ribs ain't something that heals over time. And if he's hobbled, and I know he scored a touchdown after which just shows you how incredible he is, but that was probably pure adrenaline. This team is only going to go as far as Justin Herbert takes them. And that's my number one concern for them going forward is his health. So I'm going to put them at 8, just really because I don't know what Justin Herbert we're going to get week in and week out with his injury right now. Number 7, despite the loss, I'm still going Baltimore Ravens. That was a game where they just let their foot off the gas. Nothing of that game was actually alarming to me. That was more of a game where just the Dolphins, I feel like they didn't respect the Dolphins towards the end of the game. They were just like, whatever, we got them, and they let their foot off the gas. But they'll be fine. They got a couple more winnable games coming up. The Bengals having a slow start is going to help them even more. Lamar Jackson is looking like an MVP favorite right now, man. Shut me up, Lamar. If anybody thinks I'm a Lamar Jackson hater, which I am not, I like Lamar Jackson. I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. I just question him being able to throw the ball consistently as well as he's done so far. So shut me up, Lamar. I would love nothing more than to be wrong about your passing prowess. Please continue to do the thing, get your money, and shut Scott Lewis the fuck up. So I'm putting the Baltimore Ravens at number 7. And number 6, I got the Miami Dolphins. Tua, that team over there, Mike McDaniel, they're looking good. I'm going to keep them here for right now. If they can go out here and they can beat the juggernaut Buffalo Bills, now it gets interesting. Now we might have a legitimate AFC East competition here. A lot of people, including myself, thought, "Oh, this is the Bills division." It still can be. But if the Dolphins go out here and win, and Tua has a great game, This shit gets serious, man. I think that was a big time win for them. They're 2-0, and they just got a great receiving core. When I see receivers who just get open as easily as Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, as a Bears fan, I'm like, damn, that must be nice. So I'm gonna put the Miami Dolphins in number 6. Number 5, I'm gonna go with the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. They finally got their first W of the season, winning 31-25 over the Atlanta Falcons. Wasn't an impressive win. In fact, they dragged a double-digit lead, let Mariota and them come back in the game, but amazing interception by Jalen Ramsey. Even though Jalen, he started loving to count me out. I don't know who the hell was counting Jalen now. I mean, he's the best corner in football. So I don't know. I didn't get that, but whatever. He was able to come out there and lock it down. This is a team, when you're the champs, you don't got to look spectacular during the season, because they're a team that we know what it takes to win. They've got maybe the most talented roster on paper in football. They're gonna be fine. I think they'll be good as long as they're healthy. They were gonna be a problem. They got a legit chance to repeat. So I'm gonna put them at 5. Would have had them a little higher if they'd have kept their foot on the gas against the Falcons, but I'll keep them at 5 for right now. Number 4, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Goaty. Big goat Tom Brady. He still doesn't look like he wants to be out there, man. I mean, Tom Brady is cussing in the first quarter now, as we see. You can tell he's having some issues at home. But they finally beat the New Orleans Saints in the regular season, which is something they have not done since Tom Brady has been quarterback of the team. Now, of course, they did in the playoffs when it counted, but they have not done that in the regular season. They finally did that, and this is an ugly defensive struggle into the fourth quarter. It's a team that does not like each other. Mike Evans, saw him get into it with Marshawn Lattimore. Mike Evans will be suspended for this week, and you got to wear that suspension, Mike. I don't think he should have been suspended. I think it was pushing. It wasn't actual real violence, but you know how the NFL is nowadays. But you got to protect your quarterback. He even told the ref, "It's Tom Brady. What you want me to do?" So I salute Mike Evans for that. But we all know he just doesn't fuck with Marshawn Lattimore. But they went out there. That game became a blowout in the fourth quarter. They eventually won that one 20-3. Offense still isn't where it needs to be. But the defense is championship caliber. This is Tom Brady. This is Todd Bowles. This is Byron Leftwich. The offense will eventually get together. Of course, when Chris Godwin gets back, that'll help them out a lot more. Hopefully, this doesn't begin the beginning of Julio's injuries. Julio missed. It only took one game for Julio to get hurt, and Julio missed Sunday. Don't know about his status for this upcoming Sunday, but if those two guys back, get Leonard Fournette looking a little better, the offense will be fine. But when you got Tom Brady, you're going to be fine all the time. So I'm going to put Tampa Bay at number 4. And number 3, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Like I said about Jalen Hurts having a great start to the season. They're 2-0. They got a chance right here to be able to run away with the NFCs. They got a chance, if Jalen keeps playing well, to not just win the NFC East by a long margin, but to be a legitimate contender in the NFC and get back to the Super Bowl, places they won 5 years ago. And just the whole team is good. The running game is good. The offensive line is good. The receivers are good. The defense is good. Everything is clicking for the Eagles in this early season. And I think if Jalen could keep on his foot on the gas, because this team is only going to go as far as he takes them, they can be a legit contender, man. So I'm going to put the Eagles at number 3. My number 2, my next two are obviously obvious. Number 2, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Pat did not have the greatest game last Thursday, but he was still Pat. And when Patrick Mahomes understands that Steph Curry likes to do a lot of times, they play like an asshole for 3.5 quarters. In the fourth quarter coming, they turn up. But what impressed me the most last week about that win was the defense stepping up. Getting that pick 6 against Justin Herbert, shutting him down, closing the game at the end. If the defense can keep up, you already know the offense is going to put up points. And he's really looking like he's on a mission. There's 3 quarterbacks this year who look like they're on a mission. I think they're going to be the main 3 in the MVP race. That is Patrick Mahomes, that's Lamar Jackson, and that is Josh Allen, man. So I think they're going to be fine. Putting Kansas City at number 2. And number 1, obviously, it's the Buffalo Bills, man. I said that I was going to change my Super Bowl pick. I'm changing it again. Y'all call me fluky. Y'all call me what the hell I want. What the hell you want? It's my show. I do what the hell I want to. I'm going back with the Bills, man. I was nervous because the Bills, most Super Bowl contenders who are favored it very heavily, how many times they actually work out for them? Now, of course, they got to get to the playoffs and get it done. But in these first 2 games, they're not looking like that they have lost a step. The offense actually looks better than it looked last year. Ken Dorsey is stepping right in and filling in for where Brian Daboll left and making this offense look good. I've never seen a quarterback make the leap from ass to elite the way that Josh Allen has. Stephon Diggs looking great. Everything about them is looking great. The defense is amazing. And they just really took their first two teams there. They took the defending champions, put them through a table like the Dudley Boys. They took the Titans and put them through a 3D like the Dudley Boys, man. And if they go out there and they make quick work of the Dolphins, hey, man, they're on a mission. Their job is going to be come in your house and kick your ass, man. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. It's my number one team for my week 2 power rankings. So that is what I got for y'all for that week 2. Week 3 begins tonight, man. Thursday night football in the dog pound. It will be the Cleveland Browns hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not the best quarterback matchup, obviously. Jacoby Brissett versus Mitchell Trubisky. But these are two hard-nosed defenses. I think it's going to be one of them ugly AFC North games, but I'm looking forward to watching. So that kicks off tonight. But I've got my top 3 must-watch games of week 3, man. So let's get into it. My number 3 must-watch game is the GOAT Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. This might be the last time we see these two legendary quarterbacks go at it. And I did think the ad for this was pretty fucking funny when they said these two quarterbacks combined for 8 championships. It's very similar to the meme that said Kobe Bryant and Kwame Brown combined for 82 points in 2006 with Kwame having won. I mean, out of those 8 championships, Tom Brady has 7. What was the point of telling us that? But this is a team where you have two struggling offenses right now. I think that this is a chance for both teams to get their offense rolling in the right direction. I think this is going to be a real defensive struggle between these two guys. You're going to see a lot of running. I think the Packers have the edge in the running game. I really don't know what else Leonard Fournette has left. And I really love what I'm seeing from Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon over in Green Bay. So this is going to be a real competitive game, real fun game that's going to be fun to watch. So I'm going to put that in my number 3. And number 2, Broncos and Niners. Sunday night football in Denver. All eyes are on the Broncos, man. Like, Russell Wilson's not been looking good. There's some Broncos fans out there that want Nathaniel Hackett fired. They're like, look, like maybe you was just good because you had Aaron Rodgers with you. So it's a lot of them. They need to go out there and get a statement win against a very tough team in the Niners. We need to see Russell Wilson look like Russell Wilson. We need to see this Bronco offense look good. We need to see Nathaniel Hackett look like he's not a deer in the headlights, man. This is gonna be a very entertaining Sunday night football game. I got that at number 2. And my must-watch game of this week is Dolphins Bills, man. This should be the Tony Romo Jim Nance game, but instead they're gonna make us watch the Chiefs destroy the Colts. You know what I'm saying? This should be the game that everybody's watching. We got a team in the Dolphins, some very impressive win against Baltimore on the road. Can they come out here and make this AFC East competition a legit competition? Or the Bills just gonna be like, look, nigga, we gonna run y'all over the way we ran the Rams and the Titans over, and we finna run everybody over. We come here, we smacking heads. So this is gonna be very interesting to see how this is gonna go down. Very entertaining game. That's gonna be number 1 on my three must watch games for week 3. Now let's get into our picks in our week 3 preview here, man. Last week I didn't have a better week than week 1, but I went 10-6 in my predictions with last week, which brings my total in 2 weeks into 21-10-1. Pretty good record so far. So I think you should listen to me of my predictions, man. So I'm gonna go over this right now on. Just giving him for these games. So tonight, Thursday night football in Cleveland, like I said, is going to be Browns and Steelers. I thought long and hard about this. This game can go either way because I really don't have faith in either quarterback. I'm gonna go with the Browns. They're at home. I believe they have the better defense right now because TJ Watt is hurt. They have the better running game. I think you're gonna see a lot of Nick Chubb tonight. And I just have more of a faith in Jacoby Brissett making more plays than I do Mitchell Trubisky. I think it's going to be a rough game for Mitch. The heat is up on him. People are already calling for Kenny Pickett. We even have, Mike Tomlin who's been non-committal on it. This is a big game for Mitch. It's a big game. How many times as a Bears fan have I ever said that? This is a big game for Mitch, and he always looks like shit. So I'm not expecting this to be any different. I'm going with the dog pound tonight. I do think the Browns will win this one. A very, very ugly game. It might be something like 17-14, but I'll be locked in. Let's get into our Sunday schedule. Bears at Texans. Like I said, I'm not going to give my score. If you want to know my score and the reason why for my score, tune into the 79th and Hallis preview show, which will be live on the Barber's Chair Patreon on Friday. But I will say I have the Bears winning this game. I will give y'all my score on 79th and Hallis, but I got the Bears going this week with a dub. Raiders and Titans. It's a big game. It's a big game for both of these teams, man. And I said it's a big game for the Titans because I know a lot of people ain't had no expectation for the Titans this year. I ain't got no, expectation for the Titans this year. But for Ryan Tannehill, you better go out there and put a game because we talking about Kenny Pickett trying to take Mitchell's spot. You got Malik Willis back there who a lot of people want him to start. If they go on 3, they might as well put the rook out there. So he's got to hold it down for his job more than anything. And this is a big win, big game for the Raiders. The Raiders cannot afford to go down on 3. They go on 3, they need to be looking at mock drafts on Monday night. So this is a big game for them. I think the Raiders will get it done. I think they're way too talented of a team to start on 3. I'm gonna go with the Raiders. Chiefs and Colts. Not that I had high hopes for the Colts, but I definitely thought the Colts would be a lot better than they were last year. But Matt Ryan is looking like everything else. Matt Ryan is just not looking good whatsoever. He doesn't look much different from Wentz looked last year. And the Chiefs are just the Chiefs. They'll be at home. I'm not expecting this to be relatively close. I think Pat will have a much better game than he did last week. I think they're going to win this one going away. I'm going to Kansas City Chiefs. Bills, Dolphins. Talked about that a lot today. That's my number one game to watch this week. I'm going to go Bills, man. I'm going to go Bills. They're looking like a juggernaut. The defense is incredible. The quarterback is incredible. The wide receiving core is incredible. I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to win in dominating fashion. No disrespect to Tua. There's no disrespect to what the Dolphins are doing. I like what they're doing. But the Bills are just on a mission, man. They're just on a mission. And I'm not going to let Tua come out here and do the same things that he did last week. And I'm going to go with the Bills with double-digit win. Vikings is interesting to me. I do feel like the Lions are competitive now. I don't think they're necessarily good. I still think they'll finish. But they've competed the last 2 weeks. They won on Sunday. Shootout. You know, and with Jared Goff acting good. On St. Brown looked good. Looked amazing on Sunday. I'm picking the Vikings to win this because they're the career bounce back. I'm not expecting Justin Jefferson to only have 2 catches. I think this is going to be close. I think Detroit is going to fight them. I think Detroit is going to fight a lot of people this year. I think because them being coached well, that they're going to be in. I don't think we'll see any lopsided Lions loss that we used to see in. I think it's going to be a very close game. Vikings will just squeeze out, and this should be entertaining. Ravens, Patriots. Patriots always looks bad, man. Bad. Matt Jones look like the ultimate game manager. Like I said, ceiling. He reaches his full potential. His ceiling is Alex Smith, which isn't bad. Alex Smith was a good quarterback in the NFL for a long time. But there's no. It looks like they're really missing Justin Daniel. And you got an offense and this click. Got a rating that is upset and embarrassed about their performance. I think they're gonna come out and wash. If the Bengals don't beat your Jets, it is time to play. They go on 3. I'm not expecting them to go on 3. I know the Jets had a nice little comeback win last week, but this is not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I expect Chase out a great game, and I think the Eagles are going to run away with this one, finally getting that win column. Now we've got Eagles Commanders, man. Carson Wentz look like Carson Wentz. That's what you expect. I'm going with Eagles for this week. Saints and Panthers. Panthers, man. Is there any coach that's more fired than Matt Rule 2 weeks in? Like his job is like we know he's cooked, like for sure. This motherfucker's cooked. There's no doubt about it. And Baker, like he's had some good moments, some bad. It's just a bad team right now, man. And the Saints don't look as good as I thought they're gonna look 2 weeks in the season. James is out there playing with did messed up in his back. And like, oh, well, it can't get any worse. I just told you how crazy the ball is. But I think the Saints get back in the win column. They bounce back from their loss against the Buccaneers, and they'll win this one. The defense will shut it down and just enough. So I'm going with the Saints. This is me because we don't know if Justin Herbert's going to play. And if he does play, how effective will he be? So that's a big question mark. I don't like the doesn't play. That defense will be enough that run home and so far I've done Chargers. Rams Cardinals, a good competitive game. Win against the Raiders. And actually look, but it wasn't really, they can get the offense back to how to be going. So I'm on Rams in this one. Falcons skipped out, man. Anyway, I'm going to Seahawks. There's really no explanation for that. And just I slightly believe in Geno Smith more than I do. Packers early this game. I believe in the Packers. I I just think that Tom Brady has more weapons to get the job to win this Monday Night Football. It's gonna be a very competitive game. Russell Wilson showed that he's worth the money. Showed that he can lead this Broncos team. That's always gonna be. I'm putting more money back on the 99 Jimmy G's back out there, and I'm going this week. Last game, Monday Night Football, which I think paper it doesn't look that good because you got a quarterback matchup Russ versus Jones, but I think this is gonna be a sneaky fun game because you got two teams that and the Giants are doing right now. The defense looking good. Saquon's looking good. Rush, he looks pretty good for a backup quarterback in Dallas. And Dallas has a really good defense. And even though Dak is hurt, I feel like the defense keeps him when he's in a time like this, a game that kind of feels like you have more feeling with it compared to the last couple of years because of how bad the Giants have been. I think they're stupid roll over it. I mean, what I mean by I think it's gonna be entertaining. That's gonna be like bad football, but like entertaining football. But I'm gonna go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this one, man. So that's what I got for my week 3 picks. That's all my NFL coverage for this. I'm looking forward to being back. Texans big game for the Bears this week, man. We got a couple NBA topics. We'll start with the big news that came out last night. Late last night too. It was like 1 Central Time. The head coach of the Eastern Conference champion Boston Celtics will be facing potential suspension because of a or female under relationship. He's facing 2 years suspension this year. Now here's my thing. I said on I'm not gonna go too much into this because I want to wait until all the facts are presented. And so I want to wait to present it, but I feel like this is where the decision doesn't make any sense to me. And I feel like it's something policy for a year and then leaking just doesn't make much sense to me. There's more to this story. I don't want to speculate on what it could be. Like it's irresponsible to speculate what it could be. But I do think that this is something where First of all, Twitter is wildly responsible for going looking for every female employee who works for the Celtics and then picking one woman, oh, it's got to be her, and putting her name out there and pictures and videos. And then it comes out that she had nothing to do with it, obviously. Twitter got to stop that shit. But it just doesn't make any sense to me where if you're deciding to keep him, why you just don't keep this in house? Either get rid of him or keep him. And now we have rumors of Chris Mannix coming out saying that Ime is even considering completely stepping down. Some shit here just don't add up to me. There's something else here. So I'm going to wait until the full story comes out. But I just feel like, and I'm not taking anything away from what Ime did, but situations like this, I feel like you just got to cut it off with the head if there's something that violated the team rule. Because if it violated the team rule, what's the point of you keeping it? That just doesn't make much sense to me, man. So I'm waiting to see how the whole situation plays out. But that's just how I personally feel about that, man. There's a couple other nuggets. Lonzo Ball will be going and having surgery this week. He's going to be out for 46 weeks. Then he will be reevaluated. As a Bulls fan, it sucks, but it kind of is what it is. Bone bruise are pretty much the kiss of death in today's NBA. I mean, we see that Kendrick Nunn still ain't played. And I'm going to have a hot take. I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't think Lonzo Ball plays the second this year in the Chicago Bulls uniform. Now, the Bulls do have the backcourt depth to get through this. Signing Goran Dragic, second year Ayo Dosunmu. And they have a way to get away with this, but he's your best two-way player, Lonzo Ball. There's just certain things that Lonzo Ball brings to the table. He's also probably, if not your best, your top two best three-point shooter on the league. The team, which is something the Bulls got off with last year. So that's going to hurt. And it really messes up the continuity plan that AK and Mark Eversley had coming in. So that's going to be something to watch. Maybe this cleansing of the knee helps and he's able to come back quicker. But as a Bulls fan, I'm not counting on Lonzo Ball to be here, and I don't think the team should either. And just another small trade. Pistons got Bojan Bogdanovic today. I don't think they're going to be a good team or like a playoff team, obviously, but I love the actual thing that they're building over in Detroit. I think they have a foundation and they have a potential to be, a league pass team this year. So I think that's a solid move for the Pistons. And last thing, Robert Sarver selling the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury. This is my thing about it. It's good that he's selling teams. We don't need owners like that in the NBA or any sport whatsoever. But it's just one of those things where it's like, even when guys like that, billionaires, they lose, they still win. You're still getting money back from this. You know what I'm saying? And a little press release he put out was real condescending a little. He's like, well, since y'all don't get motherfucking second chance, well, I guess no shot but to sell this team. And it was just like reluctant or whatever. And I know a lot of people were giving Adam Silver credit for it. He don't deserve no credit for this shit, man. Like I said last week, stop letting that motherfucker fool y'all, man. But it's just something where I look at was politics. It's politics and, other, sponsors, the people who are funding were upset by it, and that was ultimately led to the team being sold, which is the great part about it. But this man isn't sorry. And anybody who thinks he's sorry that he's doing the right thing, he has no fucking choice. And that's just really what it comes down to me, man, with him. We're going to wrap this up. Goofy Mog of the Week. My Goofy Mog of the Week is actually Ime Udoka. And I say this because we can say whatever we want to say about the suspension or, there's more to the story, which I think there is. You still shouldn't have been doing this in the fucking first place. You never sleep around with people who you work with. This is now you're not only risking your marriage, which is a personal thing, it ain't got nothing to do with us, but not only you risk your marriage, now you're risking your career. This is completely stupid and completely avoidable. That if you just didn't do this, you would be getting ready for training camp and taking your team and getting ready to have another chance to make another run at the championship. Now you're going to be out of a job for a year at the most. And who knows if anybody will sign him again. I mean, he is black. Let's be very clear. He is black. So you just got to stop doing stupid shit, man. All this could have been avoided if he just stopped doing stupid shit. So I'm going to give my Goofy Mog of the Week to Ime Udoka, man. That's all I got for y'all today. Season 3, episode 3. We will be back next Thursday to recap everything that's been going on. We'll have a little bit of NBA talk because there'll be some media days going on next week. Looking forward to that. We're one step closer to the MLB playoffs. Next week, we'll be getting ready for week 4. Y'all know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarberChatScott. Follow my super producer Pavia at Pavia World on Twitter. Follow HB Media, HB Media TV on Twitter. Follow HB Media, HB Media on Instagram. Follow Barbershop Network at Barbershop Net, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershop Network. You got a new episode of Summer Sessions out right now. Look for all our football content, 79th Highlights this week. Everything we got over there. Visit thebcnet.com. The Barbershop Shop will be coming by year's end, man. So I'm going to holler at y'all, man. We out.
Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna